Quality of life is not just about how much money you make or how much money you have to spend on parks. I mean, quality of life is how people feel about their community.
Hi, I'm Alexis Garcia with ReasonTV here at the Atlantic CityLab conference in Los Angeles. And right now I'm joined by Dayne Walling. He is the mayor of Flint, Michigan. So Mayor Walling, we've kind of seen the plight that's befallen Detroit. Can you talk a little bit about what's happened in your town?
Yeah, Flint to Detroit, very similar dynamics. We're going through a generational change, the restructuring of the global automotive industry, the change in families' preferences for housing and shopping, and how our communities that boomed in the earlier part of the 20th century aren't well designed for the 21st century economy, for expectations of the 21st century neighborhood, or shopping and commercial districts. So we're having to look at our entire community, all 33 square miles, and figure out how every one of those places can be vibrant and valuable in the 21st century.
I found it interesting because I heard you speak before, and the statistic that almost a little over 30% of the space in your town is brownfields or unused commercial lots or abandoned homes. What are you guys kind of looking at to put that to use?
Yeah, it's a huge challenge, and it's vacant commercial property, vacant residential property, old school buildings that are no longer used that are now closed. So we have this vacant property all across the city. But when we were at the peak, the city of Flint was really overstuffed. I mean, there were people living on top of people for all the jobs available at the General Motors factories. So it's not necessarily a bad thing when we look at our long-term prospects to have some room in the city where we can expand our green space along the Flint River. We can create larger educational campuses, even in our neighborhoods, to be able to offer more than a small house on a 40-foot lot, to be able to offer a developer an opportunity to build a larger home on a larger lot. So we're having to rethink the patterns of our neighborhoods and our business districts and our college and university campuses, but this vacant property does give us a real opportunity to design our city for the 21st century.
Now, speaking of design, you and some other city leaders have put together kind of a plan. I think it's the Imagine Flint plan,
right,
kind of looking forward. And when you were going through that, you kind of realized that some of these zoning codes don't really fit that plan. Can you talk a little bit about the reform that you're looking at there?
Yeah, we have a new master plan that's adopted, and we're revising our zoning code because all of this was really designed for the 1950s and the 1960s, the big production economy, the single-use neighborhood, the separated commercial shopping districts that were all auto-oriented. Well, here today in the 21st century, those dynamics have changed. We want mixed-use environments where you can live, work, learn, play, you can walk, you can get on a bus. So that means our roads need to go on diets, make room for bikes and for buses and pedestrians. It means that our zoning needs to allow a small, let's say, manufacturer, not a dirty old industrial facility, but a new manufacturer that's designing clothes or a small electrical part in a supply chain. That can be done in a commercial district with loft living upstairs in the building next to the college or the university. So those are the kind of innovative places that we're trying to create in our new zoning code. We're thinking about place making, not separating uses, but bringing uses together, and doing that in a very extreme sense of the word, where we're not only having housing and shopping, which is normally what you think of with mixed use. We think of extreme mixed use of housing, shopping, learning, playing in parks, and also the productive aspect of manufacturing, which is something our city's been known for a long time. This is now just a new generation of manufacturing. We had carriages, we had cars, now we're involved in diverse 21st century advanced manufacturing with medical devices and electrical components and supplies for the auto industry and transportation and distribution companies that are beyond just automobiles. We're a part of all that in Flint now.
Yeah, sort of diversifying
right,
a little bit. And do you see that the city council and the residents there are kind of open to kind of tackling some of these outdated laws. And
yeah, we have our differences, but the amazing thing about this 2-year process we went through to envision a new future was it ended with a plan that was able to be adopted unanimously by our Planning Commission and our City Council. And that really told me, we have districts for our council and our planning, tells me that people all across the city really saw the benefit of this new vision, and we're using it to attract new investments and to better use our existing federal resources, and also to get volunteers involved, because people want to be a part of making these positive changes. They didn't know where to start. This framework now shows citizens and community groups and block clubs how they can be involved in moving the community forward as part of a bigger effort.
When you took office, you kind of went to all, I think there's 9 different wards.
Yeah.
And you really engaged the neighborhoods. I think you've seen kind of our series looking at Detroit, where some of these private citizens and private groups kind of stepped in. What have you seen in Flint, citizens stepping in to deal with some of these things like neighborhood blight?
There's some incredible successes, and it's rethinking City Hall, just like we've had to rethink our economy and rethink our neighborhoods. The idea that government is going to provide all of these programs, government has to be a partner and has to facilitate the planning and the organizational infrastructure, but then it's citizen groups, it's churches, it's schools and businesses that are really the ones who are refining the plans, making sure what we're doing is appropriate in each area, and then providing the real people power to actually get the work done, to adopt the park and turn it into a youth center with a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. In the old days in Flint, that would have been a City of Flint Parks and Rec program. Now it's the City of Flint with a memorandum of understanding with the Crim Fitness Foundation and the Boys and Girls Club, and a series of neighborhood groups working through Keep Genesee County Beautiful to actually get out every couple weeks and do the work in the park to make it the kind of facility that we want for our families.
I think you see like a lot of these cities are, filling the squeeze fiscally. Do you see that as a model going forward, that the city structure is going to be kind of where some of the organization takes place, but it's really going to be a partnership with community groups?
Yeah, I think it has to be, and when we went out and tested that and talked about it with our community, it wasn't just the sense that, well, government has less money, so we're going to have to rely on citizens. Community groups and citizens were really saying, no, as a first option, we want this to be a partnership. Now, if you go and get some more money, then that's a good thing for all of us. We want that government resource, but we want to be in the driver's seat. We want to be a part of this plan and implementing it in our neighborhood, in our business corridor. So even as we recover economically and build our tax base back, our citizens really demanded that they're at the top of every one of our strategies, dealing with blight, dealing with public safety, being more involved in education. It's got to be citizens and families first.
Yeah, because they live there, so they would have a better idea of what needs to be done than, some bureaucrat in DC, right?
That's right, and that's what creates the real quality of life. Quality of life is not just about how much money you make or how much money you have to spend on parks. Quality of life is how people feel about their community, and the more they're involved in shaping the plans and then doing the work and seeing others, support them, then that's a completely better and higher quality of life than maybe a program that looks really pretty and has a lot of money but has never really connected with the citizens. So we've been forced to learn those hard lessons in Flint, but I think it's a good foundation for us to move forward from.
Well, Mayor Walling, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thanks.
And for ReasonTV, I'm Alexis Garcia.